Well, see, Huey, right after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, there was a great outcry about weapons and handguns and everything else, so they passed some stuff in the Congress. And of course, Huey Scott, he went along with the whole thing and he voted for it. Well, then the National Rifle Association got all the sportsmen's stuff worked out. So then they started after the people that had voted this way.
And they picked Scott in particular as a target.
No, first of all, they targeted Joe Clark, who was a Democrat, with Dick Swiker was running against him. And they targeted Joe Clark and they beat him. And I can remember some of the rallies. They had these big signs up. This year Clark, 2 years from now Scott. They were going to get him. So Scott was worried about it. Everybody was worried about it because, see, we have, in Pennsylvania, we have more hunters than any state in the Union. We have more sportsmen's club, by far, than any two states in the Union. And they're very, very strong, particularly in your rural regions, and particularly even places like Johnstown. We must have, at that time, we had, I'd say at least 15 sportsmen's club in Camber County alone. So it was a problem whether Huey Scott could win or not. So Teddy Metzger, who was the county commissioner and a very close friend of mine, protege of mine in fact, was the state president of the Sportsmen's Association. They were having their convention here, and they were all set to endorse a fellow by the name of Seiler, a state senator that was running against Huey Scott. So I got a hold of Teddy and I said, Teddy, I said, I want Huey Scott to be the principal speaker at your convention. He said, what the hell's the matter with you? He said, do you want to see him get killed? And I said, no, I've got a plan. I said, well, he said, are you sure that he'd come? I said, yes, he'll come. He said, have you talked to him? I said, not yet, but he'll come, don't worry. Well, okay, but I think you're making a mistake because there's going to be at least 100 people there that'll jump up and ask him all kinds of questions and
make it tough for him.
I said, just do what I tell you to do. Have it. So he did. So then I called Scott and I said, get up here on whatever the date was. I made arrangements for you to be the speaker at the sportsman's convention. He said, you have to be kidding. I said, no. I said, you come up. He said, well, he said, are you going to have a lot of police protection? I said, Huey, I said, just come up. I said, we'll go over it before you come in. Well, he said, I don't like the idea, but I'll come up. So he come up. So we sat in right before he got there that afternoon. I said, now, Huey, just do it exactly the way I tell you to do it. I said, you go in there. I said, you've got a great record on conservation, which he did have. I said, now you speak for about 10, 15 minutes on conservation. I said, you won't hear a pin drop because everybody's waiting to jump for your throat. And he said, well, that's what I'm afraid of. I said, now, I said, when you get through with that, you say, you know, I want to talk about one other thing here. You know, I'm like Mayor LaGuardia was in New York. Remember he said, when I make a mistake, I make a real boo-boo. I'm sorry for it afterwards, but I make a real boo-boo when I make a mistake. I don't make little mistakes, I make big ones. Now that's what I did. on this bill. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I'm sorry for it. I'll never make a mistake like that again. But I have no excuse. The only thing I can say is that I'm sorry.
And he won the election.
He won the election and they didn't endorse Sauer either.
And it was received well at the time it was given.
He said one person got up and asked a question. And he said, you could tell the guy didn't have his heart in it, but he, just one guy, and he said, Teddy had said there'd be 100 there that would want a question. He said, one guy got up and asked a question, and he said, I just said, I think I've answered it to the best of my ability. I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Look,
We gotta go.
I have to go. We can continue this if you want to some other time.